We're the fastest growing brokerage in the state of Texas. We try to lead with education first. I want you guys to know what you're doing, know what you're getting yourself into, so that one day when you decide to sell your house, you're a lot more confident. You might want to become investors, and then you call me back and say, hey, I want to buy my second and third house. I want to buy a quadplex. It's the same transaction, same contract, whether you buy one door or you buy 4 doors. So we just try to teach you the process, let you know what to expect. The loan process is usually the hardest part of it. My job is to make sure that your hardest job is finding a house. I'm gonna make sure you make an educated decision on that house. If foundation's bad or not the best neighborhood, resale values are low, that's all my business. And so you don't really have to worry about that. You point it out, this is my house, let me know what we need to do, and I'll say yay or nay, give you the pros and cons, and then you make the choice. I'll drive the car, you just direct. Resale value, that's what I base whether a neighborhood is good or not, and whether I would put my sister there or any family member of mine. I don't want you guys to see me at HEB 6 months after you bought your house and you're like, you sold me the worst house ever, I want to beat you down. Please, no, that is not what we're here for. You have to live in the house, not me. I just want you to make a smart decision on it. So it usually starts with getting pre-qualified, with visiting somebody like Belinda. I know some of you guys already got with a mortgage lender. That's awesome. If you have not, go ahead and do it. Don't be scared. Let them pull your credit. If your credit is not where you want it to be, that's fine. The only way to heal it is going to be to pull the Band-Aid off of the wound. So you got to know what we're dealing with. I get into a lot of conversations about money with clients, but I'm so not the money guy. I am just the house guy. So I try to keep those two worlds separate. So once you guys get qualified, then we go shopping. Usually I try to make sure you see every house available. I have a home search website, saltcityhomestore.com. It's pretty much just any house in the MLS. It's a lot more up to date than say realtor.com will be or Zillow, and the estimates are a little bit better just because it's hyper local. Those are big national sites. They don't know our market. Allcityhomestore.com. So it's a little easier site to help you search. I want you to see everything. I don't want to make the decision for you. I'll take you to 20, 30 houses. We work with clients sometimes for 2 and 3 years. I literally just closed one with Belinda. We've been working with them for 2.5 years. They just had stuff to work on, student loans, credit card debt, all kind of stuff. We do this every day, so please don't try to rush or think that just because you're working with one of us that you have to put the pressure on yourself to make a decision sometime soon. It's not the case. We're gonna do this all day, every day, and I've done about 100 transactions in my first 2 years doing this. And it will get stressful, but everybody has the tools they need to get this thing done. It really just depends on how bad you want the place. I had a lady that I just closed yesterday. It was supposed to be a 30-day transaction, but it turned into a 90-day transaction. Partially her end, partially the seller's end. When we do these houses, anything that can happen will happen. A lien may come up that was on the property years and years and years ago, and it may be paid off, but they just don't have proof. So the title company doesn't want to give you that house with somebody else's name on the title or another lien on the title, so unless they have proof that it's clear, we can't close, which is exactly what just happened with my last transaction. So we're gonna go shop, we'll find the house that you want. Next thing we're gonna do is get it inspected. I'm not an inspector, I can only kind of eyeball the property, but we'll get a professional inspector in there and he'll go from the foundation to the roof, check most of the appliances. Refrigerators are not a part of real estate, so you usually have to kind of ask for that separate, but most houses will throw that in. Stoves and dishwashers, they are a part. So let's say we get it inspected, dishwasher has a leak, and there's a crack in the wall. So we'll have what's called an option period. That's where you pay this guy $75 to $100 to take his house off the market for 10 days while you get an inspector in there. If you decide for any reason within those 10 days that you don't want the house, if the sun doesn't hit the house right, if you don't like the little bad kids across the street, that you have the option to get out of that at any point in time. And the only thing you'll owe them is that $75 to $100. There's other monies involved in the contract. That's the earnest fee. That just shows your seriousness for the house. You're gonna put that, usually $500. You put it up and say, hey guys, I'm serious about the house. I'm gonna put this in escrow. It remains on your side of the transaction till after those 10 days. Then if you decide you don't want the house for any reason, sun hits it, bad kids or whatever, now you're risking your $500. So one of my biggest jobs is to make sure that this is the house you want within those first 10 days. Because those next 10 days we're gonna spend fighting the loan people and getting all your paper in and getting your survey ordered and all of the stuff. You're pretty much locked in, and or your $500 is at risk. I don't have $500 to lose. I don't know if you guys do. Once we get it inspected, thumbs up, everybody's happy. We love this house, we're gonna keep moving. Your lender's gonna order the appraisal. That appraisal is usually gonna cost you about $500. Some lenders are gonna ask you to pay that up front. Some will credit it back to you at close. Some will not ask you to pay that at all. It just all depends on who you go through. But all that appraisal is, it just says that this house is worth what we are trying to pay for it. So if in an instance we're offering $100,000 for a house, the appraisal comes back at $85,000. The seller will either have to lower that price or he's gonna ask you guys to pay the difference. I don't know anybody in here who's gonna pay that difference, but it just depends on how much you love the house. But it's got to appraise. So let's say you get into a situation where you're a little worried about the price of the house. I think I might be paying a little too much, but you're in competition and you wanna beat out the other person, so it's listed at 100, you come in at 105, you beat out the competition. Well, you're protected by that appraisal so that you don't pay more than what that house is actually worth. And at said time, we'll renegotiate. You either pay the difference or they'll lower the price. Most times they lower the price because they're gonna have to sell it for that price anyway. So we're gonna get you inspected, gonna get your appraisal done. I'm gonna send a termite inspector. If you're getting a loan, I can't get you a loan without a termite inspection on the house. It's just a Texas thing. Maybe 1 in every 20 has termites active. It's usually about $1,100 to get taken care of, but normally buyers don't have to take care of that. It's normally gonna be on the seller's responsibility. So we'll recap. You're gonna need about $500 for your appraisal, about $500 for your earnest, $75 for an option fee. Now these fees are adjustable. We can go up and down just depending on your situation, but this is standard. This is pretty much how I write all of my contracts, but everybody's situation differs. Inspection fee, the actual inspection. That's gonna cost you anywhere between $200 and $300, usually depends on the square footage of the house. You have to get your house inspected. It is not contractually obligated, but you do not wanna end up getting in a money pit because you just love the house, you love the way it looks. You waive getting that $300 inspection and then you get in there and the foundation is torn up and you have to pay $9,000 to get that foundation fixed. So you have to get your house inspected. Your insurance. That is another thing that you may have to pay at closing. Insurance usually escrows, and I think it's the first 90 days that they want, if I'm not mistaken. You put the first 3 months worth of your coverage down at closing. Luckily, we are in what is called a buyer's market, meaning there are way more houses than there are buyers. So most of these sellers are anxious to get rid of their house, and they're gonna pay majority of your closing costs. That is most. They don't have to. You may get it with a seller who is just not going with it. It just depends on how much money they owe. But standard, about 3.5% of what the sales price is, that's what's gonna be your closing costs. Make sure that whatever realtor you get, whether it is me or anybody else, you let them know, hey, I want majority, if not all of my closing costs paid. And if one seller doesn't do it, trust me, another one will. Since we've got you guys inspected, we've got your appraisal in. Appraisal is usually what takes the longest. So if we order that thing the first week we get under contract, it usually takes like 3 weeks in order for it to get back. You'll have all your loan docs in and everybody's just kind of sitting on pins and needles, and that appraisal is usually the last thing. Don't let it spook you. Don't get stressed. Don't pull out. There's literally nothing the lender can do about the appraiser and how long he takes. They're third party and they get a little prima donna-ish sometimes. So you just kind of got to wait it out. Once we get all that done though, you'll get what's called clear to close from your lender. They'll say, everything's in, all your docs are in, we sent everything to underwriting. That's just somebody who just goes through all of your documents with a fine tooth comb, make sure there's no discrepancies. Sometimes it'll come back and they'll say, hey, well, we need, like she was talking about, a gift letter for the $500 that you put into your account, or we need this. It's usually lots of tiny little stuff. But once you get those conditions taken care of, I'm making sure everything is smooth with the house on my side. All your repairs are done. All your inspections are done. Your home warranty is ordered. Usually the sellers will pay for your home warranty. Make sure you get a home warranty as well. That's going to cover all your appliances and your AC. It's not going to cover structural damage. That's going to be insurance. It's also not going to cover stuff like, say, your flooring getting messed up. Insurance is not going to cover that, nor is home warranty. That's going to pretty much come out of your pocket. So make sure you get your home warranty, and once the lender says we're clear to close, you go to the table, you sign. Hopefully I'm there with a big gift basket and everybody's happy, and you are still not a homeowner. There's one more step. There's closing and then there's funding. Buyer signs, seller signs, all that paperwork goes into the lender. They review it, and then they say, okay, we are funded. You are good. That's usually when you get your house. So I would not count on getting your keys the day you sign. It'll be great if that happens, but don't count on it. It could happen the very next day. It just depends on how long it takes to process. If you are under a lease, do not try to time it to where you move out of your lease the same day you close and into your house. That's when it's gonna go all bad. And you're gonna end up having to extend, you're gonna have to pay a month-to-month fee, all that. Don't do it. Give yourself 60 to 90 days. Typically, a lender won't give you a loan with a lease that's too long. They're gonna wanna see it, and if it's over that 90 days, and just depending on your cash reserves, because everything is different, every situation is its own. But typically, if you're in a year lease or still got 9 months left, they're gonna say, wait. They're not gonna let you do it unless you can show that, oh, I have the funds to pay off the rest of my lease. They will not be okay with you breaking that lease. Breaking the lease is one thing, but having documentation from the landlord that says they're clear to go whenever they please, that's another. Yeah, don't break your lease, but if you can talk to the person who you're renting your house from and let them know you're trying to buy and see if they'll give you some documentation that says, yeah, we'll let them out of this lease at such and such. You may even have to sign another lease for the lender that just ends at a date that's a little bit sooner. But yes, keep that in mind. Please don't try to do that. I have it happen all the time, and it's the most stressful situation. So give yourself, if you're closing at the beginning of the month, your lease should be up at the end of the month.